Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast, where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to live with you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And welcome to the 5-year Q&A episode, where it's really just two massive blocks of questions, and this isn't a critique, that is an appreciation statement from two longtime listeners of the show, and starting off with a question from a family member, specifically Connor's mom, and it's something that's been touched on and we're going to start there because family first, I suppose. We were asked kind of what our thoughts are on the Brendan Sorsby situation. It's basically the same thoughts as the majority of people who are not Texas Tech fans. I think it's ridiculous that he was declared eligible, especially because he was betting against his own team, specifically the under for a fellow quarterback. I think that personally, anyone who bets on a sport that they play in, especially their own team, I think they should be banned for life from that sport. And that's why I never fought against the Pete Rose suspension, that's always been my stance on it. And I sympathize with the idea that there are such things as addictive personalities or addiction disorders. We don't tell, this is whether it be wrong or right, drug addicts still go to prison. Like they still go to prison for possession. Just because it's a different thing, just because it's gambling in the form of, and there's NCAA sanctions, I don't think that is like worth a blanket exemption of, you get an exception to the rule. And the thing is, I don't even think Brendan Sorsby is worth all this. And this is someone who thinks that Brendan Sorsby is a legitimately good quarterback. No one is worth this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I do want to touch on what you said with like considerations for like it being an addiction. And yeah, that's true. Like that is a problem. And I think it's awesome that he went to rehab and was open about that as well, because a lot of people bet on sports, and as long as you're able to manage it, if that's fun for you, go for it. I do not sports bet because I just don't like it. I tried it once. I didn't like it. But good for him for seeking out treatment for a problem that he recognized. And I think we could probably be kinder to people about addiction disorders and whatnot.
But
and a huge bet, that does not mean that, especially in this unique context, that he should not face consequences, because it's beyond a mental health issue. We're not punishing him for having an addiction disorder. He was being punished because he blatantly violated the rules on gambling for student athletes, did it underage as well, and brought the integrity of the sport into question. That's kind of always been the cornerstone of gambling with sports, is it's an integrity issue. You cannot, in good conscience, run a sports league and allow players to bet on the outcomes of said sports league while being part of it. That is inherently corrupt. Even if it's not the intent, it's the impact. So the mental health angle, I've seen a lot of Texas Tech fans discuss. I don't think at its very base level is bad, but that's if you entirely strip it of context. Because the second you add context, you can still have sympathy for him as someone that is like struggling through something. But that doesn't mean that we should give him a special exemption to compete in the sport that he like violated, basically. Like I don't think that the exemption should be made. And while I like on a basic level, like I have no issue with the mental health angle that's going on. I think it's also important to consider the parroters of who are putting forward that argument and just read between the lines. Like, obviously, it's not explicit, but it's a bad faith argument. Like mental health and genuine problems are being commandeered by a fan base that just want their good quarterback to play and not be subject to the rules. So it completely falls apart. Like once you add more and more layers to it, like it's a bridge made of balsa wood. Like there's nothing there to support the argument. Like you have to intentionally be blind to actually think that it's a viable argument here, I think.
Yeah. And what frustrates me most is that next to nothing will or can be done about this, because anything that is going to happen to Texas Tech will probably boil down to posturing, especially with, Nebraska and I think Georgia and a bunch of SEC schools. Like, we won't schedule Texas, okay? Like that's just posturing, and I don't think anything else negative will happen. And I think that's what frustrates people the most, is not necessarily that it happens. It's that you don't get the satisfaction of calling the other person an idiot and get vindicated by it.
Yeah. And there's a few other issues there. The first one, I'll build off what you said. And yeah, like Georgia's AD coming out and publicly saying they're not, or I guess they didn't publicly say, it was a leaked internal memo, but I don't think they were working too hard to hide it. About saying Georgia's not going to schedule Texas Tech in anything, not a single sport. So this is going beyond football for them, which for what it's worth, I think is fair, because athletic departments for so long have been primarily based on football, men's basketball supplements. Some schools will have like a third moneymaker, but very few. And like everything else is propped up by football and men's basketball. So I think it makes a lot of sense to, as an institution, punish, in air quotes, I don't know how much Georgia's scheduling Texas Tech, but punish them in everything else, because that's where it's going to hurt the most, I think, is the downstream current. Like, I mean, one school saying no, it's not going to be the end of the world for Texas Tech. I do think it changes when you look at conferences, especially with it being, other than Texas Tech, unanimous in the Big 12. In Big 12 administrators, ADs or presidents or chancellors or whatever, not wanting, or at the very least entertaining the idea of not playing Texas Tech. And I think that's going to be the most likely position to actually create ramifications, because at this point, the NCAA has been so stripped of actual genuine enforcement measures that like it's obvious that they can't do anything on their own. But I think what conferences could, if they're willing to, discover is the NCAA can enforce its rules through the conferences, which ultimately that is kind of the structure of the NCAA anyways. But for so long, the NCAA was just kind of given unilateral enforcement power. But it's going to have to come down to the conferences, like actually like holding things up. Because I mean, if not, then I think conferences kind of going and making their own rules and their own enforcement mechanisms is going to lead to the long boiling and brewing balkanization of college sports, which results in, the conferences kind of just starting to do their own thing, at least at the football level of things. But I'm very curious about how that's going to go. But then also, I think we saw, it might have been was it Texas Tech or the Texas Attorney General? I can't remember. today that we're recording June 10, saying that as a like if other schools refuse to play Texas Tech or schedule Texas Tech, that they'll sue. Which that would be really interesting, but I don't think that would do anything. I think the only way it would work is like I guess enforcing the contract, but like I'd be curious to see if like those like scheduling contracts allow for a like cause so often you see like in like employment contracts like embarrassment clauses or something like that, or like reputation clauses, like don't embarrass us basically. Like, so I'm wondering about that. Or if schools, like, if they try to force them, they just cancel contracts. I'm curious to see it on the Big 12 side of things. If they can force teams to play. I mean, when it comes down to it, you can't physically force players to get on the field. Like, that won't happen. But you can, like, I guess, prevent them from, like, I guess I shouldn't say you can't. I don't know what the rule is on that, but I'd be curious to see how that would go because the NCAA has been so declawed. But I don't think a court would force an individual institution to do something against its own will. Like, because all of this has been about defanging the NCAA and like reducing and eliminating their power.
Yeah, I think that suffices for our thoughts on it. If we wanted to, we could probably spend an entire hour on it. I just don't really want to.
She did have a few sub questions. I think we kind of covered most of it, but I think we can briefly cover this. She says she'd like to understand why the court isn't allowing the NCAA to enforce its rules, which that's a very big, decades-long question. Yeah. Then there's what's the legal basis when Sorsby has admitted he was gambling and betting on his own team, like I think for why he's allowed to continue playing, and to continue down that path, how can any of the rules be enforced?
So to start with, why can't the NCAA enforce their own rules? To give you a short answer, antitrust law, which basically says that a given entity or person or business, corporation, however you want to frame it, cannot have too much market power. And right now, the NCAA has a monopoly on college sports, especially organized college sports, and their television deals. Congress has not given them an exemption to that rule, meaning that just about anything that they do can be struck down as an undue or improper exercise of market power. That's the same reason why they can't enforce anything now. And what would need to change is they would need to get an antitrust exemption. I've gone back and forth in the idea of students as employees, and as of like right now, I don't think it would fix anything because state labor laws, like you'd almost have to. I mean, you'd have to similarly model it to the NFL, MLB, NBA, where you technically have one place of incorporation for the union and everyone else just kind of hops in. I don't know if people in the NCAA, just with how many teams there are, would go for that. But as for Brendan Sorsby himself, I don't have an explanation. Outside of, I can give you the elements for a preliminary injunction, which is the person requesting the injunction, also known as, hey, someone asking the court to say, hey, can you make them stop doing this, is a likelihood of irreparable harm if the injunction is not granted, likelihood of success on the merits, and in some cases, holding bond in case you lose. There's also injury in fact, that's technically a standing issue. We don't need to go into that. Just think of it right now as the court right now, for some reason that I cannot ascertain, thinks that Brendan Sorsby, even though he's admitted to violating NCAA policy, would have prevailed on the merits of that policy. The only reason that I could see is if the court is poising to rule the NCAA policy is facially invalid. But even then, that's not something you issue a preliminary injunction for. You need that full hearing.
Yeah, to me, it comes off as the judge really kind of mixing together those two big elements of irreparable harm and success on the merits, because I do think you can like reasonably say, even from like a perspective where like we vehemently disagree with the decision, and I guess I should say we vehemently disagree with the outcome of the temporary injunction ruling. But I think even from our perspective, I think it's obvious that Brendan Sorsby would suffer an irreparable harm. Like he would not play football. It would hurt his draft stock if there is any. And as if this hasn't hurt his reputation enough, I guess. And then he presumably would not be eligible for like most of the NIL contract that he signed, because I assume a lot of it's probably like game incentives or like game checks or something like that. So like that is irreparable harm. Even if he's a reprehensible guy, it is irreparable harm. Like, and I don't have an issue with that. But yeah, success on the merits. I think like you said, the only way that makes sense is if the judge is basically saying the NCAA has no authority over anything. Like all their rules are presumptively invalid if they restrict an athlete's ability to market themselves or make money in any way.
Which is a crazy stance to take, even given the House settlement and the Alston rulings.
Yeah, overzealous district court judge over here. So
yeah, bro got too excited.
Yeah, like I just can't reason with that. And yeah, like sure there's irreparable harm, but like I don't think that we can say that there's like a reasonable chance of success on the merits. I mean, like I don't know. And this also, like, this is an obvious legal strategy as well to like stretch out the matter to the point where the case is moot and doesn't matter, which has already happened because the like appeal hearing is like 2 weeks after the national championship.
Yep.
So like it's an obvious tactic. It's borderline on its face, like meant to abuse the court system. Like, but yeah, I think you're right. I think the only real option going forward to prevent stuff like this is a collective bargaining agreement with student athletes. I think that's it. I don't think there's an alternative outcome because the courts are saying you cannot prevent them from like marketing themselves. And absent of context, yeah, I agree with that.
Absent of context.
The problem is that we're now allowing players to gamble on their own sport without repercussion. When not even 2 years ago, we like borderline shot Hunter Deckers dead in the street at like 1/10 of the scale. So I am just appalled by this decision. And frankly, if there's not like major changes like ripple from this court decision, it could be like the end of the beginning of the end of college sports, if that makes sense. And we're like entering like the final act here.
Yeah. Anyway, brighter notes. We have questions actually from Sarah, Connor's wonderful fiance. First question: the 9 innings, 9 hot dogs, 9 beers challenge, except for pick a different food item and beverage you would rather consume, and you still have to be successful. I'm going to be really boring and say like 9 mozzarella sticks and 9 Dr. Peppers. I may throw up after 9 Dr. Peppers, like just with the amount of sugar. So maybe I'll make it diet. But I feel like that's like something I'd be happy with, and I'd still have a good chance of success.
Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be a little weasel, and I'm going to pick 9 of each thing to make it as easy as absolutely possible. And I'm going to pick 9 Dixie cups of water and 9 French fries. So I think I could probably do that.
Hey man, you live with her. She's the one that's going to yell at you. I'm safe.
However, I will make a legitimate selection here. I could probably do 9 Diet Cokes, and then, gosh, similar stature to hot dogs like would be tough because hot dogs are so uniquely poised to like be like easily edible. Somehow there's so much substance there, and yet you're never satiated. I don't know what it is about hot dogs. I'll say 9. Okay, I don't know if I could actually do this, but maybe if Sarah and I did this together, we could do like 9, like small, like stadium size, like stadium small, popcorn bags, because we will obliterate popcorn. Popcorn's pretty light. There's a lot of it, but I think the biggest issue I think would be time, because like you'd really have to like mow that down.
Yeah, you got to be motoring to do that. And I think popcorn's a good pick, but the next question from Sarah is, what singular football game loss from the last 5 years do you most wish would have been a win? That's a good question. I will let you go first, because there were like 4 that immediately came to mind for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna, since it says singular, I'm going to make a single pick, and God, there's just so many I want to talk about though. I'm gonna say the Sugar Bowl. I wish we would have won the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, Sugar Bowl was the first thing that came to my mind. The Texas game down in Austin is another one.
That's my number 2.
I kind of wish that we got the Oklahoma game when Skyler came back off of injury. That's another one that I wish we had.
Good pick.
I think my final answer will actually be, to me, it has to be the Sugar Bowl, because there's every other game that I'm thinking of, I'm trying to think of bigger picture, and I'm like, okay, there's something else that would have gone wrong, that would have prevented any larger aspiration. The one that I think gets closest is actually Houston 24.
Yeah, that was right there. I was about to, if you didn't say it, I was about to say Iowa State 24, but then I was like, actually, no, I think Houston's a bigger one there. So I think you're right on Houston.
Yeah, Houston 24, I guess Iowa State 25, but that's a weird game anyway, and this last season was stupid.
Yeah, Iowa State 25, obviously, like I really wish we would have won that game. I was just talking about it again tonight. But then I guess a vanity pick that ultimately wouldn't have really changed anything would have been Utah from 2025. Like,
God,
that game really broke me.
That hurts so bad. Which game hurt you worse, that or the Mizzou last second kickoff game?
Ooh, definitely Mizzou. Gosh, that hurt, because I was fully expecting us to go on another Big 12 title run, and that obviously didn't hurt like in terms of like percentage chance, the Big 12 title run, but that did, I think, kind of like pull the chair out from under me about like the quality of the team. I was like, not having a Julius Brents and a Deuce Vaughn and like all those other guys, not the best, actually. Malik Mills.
Yeah. The next brick of questions comes from Scott Wildcat, the Podfather, as we've called him. First question: what is the biggest K-State what if of your 5 years doing the show? KJ doesn't get in foul trouble against FAU. That was the first thing that came to my mind, and that's going to be my answer, because I genuinely believe that if he didn't get in foul trouble, we would have gone to the national title game. We would have lost to UConn, but we would have gone to the title game, because Oh God, that game just still pisses me off to this day. But yeah, what if Keontae Johnson doesn't get into foul trouble up against FAU?
Yeah, that is a huge one for me. I think I agree. Like because we talked about it a little bit, and I think that's probably the number one. I'll posit another, um, just to just to see here. But um, what if Avery Johnson doesn't throw that pick right before halftime at BYU in 24? Uh, like, does that change that whole game? And does that change the season? Is that enough to lift us just far enough to like maybe make the conference championship that year? Like,
I'll raise you. What if Deuce stays for a single year or his senior season?
man, that's a great one too. Gosh, we would have had a more developed DJ with Deuce. We wouldn't have had Malik, and that would have really hurt. But we would have had prime Ben Sinnott, and I also think, especially early in the season, we would have gotten a more consistent Will Howard. Uh, Not in the sense of that, like that covers up his like uh, propensity to like make mistakes when he's pressing, but more in that when he's under pressure, there's a Deuce Vaughn right there, like, and a DJ Giddens right there. Like, and we also would have gotten to have a lot of fun watching like by far the most talented backfield in terms of running backs that K-State ever had. So
Yeah, yeah. Next question: who have been your 5 favorite K-State athletes from your 5 years doing the pod? I'll let you start with this, and we can just kind of rapid fire them because there are 3 that I knew right away, and everyone else was just kind of like, yeah, they were cool.
all right, yeah, I'll start. The first one that came to mind was Kalen Culpepper. Serena Sundell, I think, is right up there as well, along with Ayoka Lee. Then, other than that, um, well, it used to be Will Howard, but then
Oops.
the people, so Deuce for sure. And then other than that, I guess Marquise Noel. That's my 5.
See, my list is interesting because there is only one football player on it. Marquise Noel is my favorite K-State player of all time. The only person fighting for him is Alex Barnes, and that's because I met Alex Barnes, who randomly decided to show back up on Twitter recently. Sure. Ayoka Lee, Serena Sundell, both up there, probably 2 and 3. 4 is Dave. I got to give it to David Gasson. Like, especially because of the character arc that Dave had. Kalen Culpepper's up there. Tyson Neighbors definitely up there. But I can't. DJ Two Turn, I can't miss the list. Like, yeah, that just feels illegal for DJ Two Turn to miss the list.
Gosh, I think, yeah, I'm kind of regretting not putting DJ up there. I'm kind of not regretting putting David Gasson up there too, because he really has occupied a strong spot in my heart over the last year, especially this year. Man, how I missed him this year. I would have paid uncountable sums of money for David Gasson on this year's team. I think David Gasson's WAR on this team would have been like plus like 8.
Yeah. The counterpoint to that question: who are your 5 least favorite K-State athletes? I'm not someone who tries to like really dwell on the negative. In fact, there was only like 2 2 athletes that immediately came to mind that I did legitimately dislike. The first one was Doug McDaniel, just because he just was not worth the headache. And the other one ended up being Trayshawn Ward. which is like a really relatively innocuous pick because he didn't do anything heinous. He just kind of annoyed me. But other than that, I mean, I guess you could. Austin Romain's probably up there just for transferring to Texas Tech, which, God, that we can't get away from them this episode, can we? Kobe Savage, definitely up there. You'll notice that pretty much all of these guys transferred out. I'm trying to think of one that like stayed or at least finished his career at K-State. I can't think of any Batcats. I can't think of any women's basketball players. I don't know. Like I'm blanking coming up with a fifth.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I mean, like, there's definitely a few guys that like I think most of your list I think I'd agree with, because there's lots of guys that annoy me in the moment, but like there's so few that I have like a permanent distaste for. I think I definitely agree with Doug McDaniel. Not a huge fan of him. Honestly, maybe PJ Haggerty. Like, I don't know if that's so much.
Pick.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if it's so much of a him thing or more of a it's what he represents thing. Just the indulgence of the prior stand, like the get yours and nothing else matters. Like, he was kind of, I think, emblematic of the program's issues, despite being a pretty good basketball player. Other than that, I really was frustrated by Omar Daniels. I think Jack Fabris I disliked or not Jack Fabris, Ross Elder. Sorry. Just I get my hard-working lunch pill safeties mixed up, but Ross Elder until like the last half of his senior year, and then I loved him. He kind of had like a miniaturized David Gasson arc, except if I hated Dave until like March of his senior year, I guess, basically. But I can't think of any like women's basketball players I like actively like thoroughly disliked. I hope that P. Hughes doesn't listen to this show because Dom Hughes. He got picked off all the time. It really made me upset.
Also got thrown out of a random game and then told us why he got thrown out of a random game.
Yeah. He had one excellent baseball tournament game, and that about it. But Pete, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. I'm sure he's a very nice young man, but his base running discipline was subpar at best.
We'll say subpar. Next question. If you could create your dream conference for K-State to compete in all of our current sports with any amount of schools and any other school, how many teams and who all's in it? I'm going back to regional. I'm basically remaking the Big Eight. The Oklahoma schools are coming in. Kansas schools are coming in. Missouri, Nebraska, as much as they annoy me, I'm bringing them alongside as well. Iowa State. Give me Iowa as well, just because I think they'd be interesting to have. I just want all the in-state rivals. So Colorado and Colorado State are allowed to come as well, even though Colorado State's kind of, a little bit lower. But I'm basically remaking the Big Eight.
Yeah, I'm kind of along those lines. Like, I love the Big Eight. Even though I was not alive for any of its existence, I missed it by like 4 or 5 years. 4 years. But the only thing that gives me pause at the Big Eight is that there is only 7 schools you can play. So then I'm really tempted by the Big 12 because honestly, there's like, I can't believe I'm saying this, and it's not because I like them, but I do miss playing Texas A&M. Like, K-State, both good and bad, has some absolutely classic matchups with A&M. The 2011 4 overtime game against A&M is one of my absolute favorite memories as a K-State sports fan. That game was absolutely electric, and I miss that. So if there would be a way to like have in this Magic Fantasy land, if I could have that Big 12, that's where Nebraska was still there as well. Not because I like them, but I feel like it's weird to not play them. If we could make that Big 12, but make Texas normal, then I think I'd be okay with that because I I like the perceived prestige of playing Texas. I just don't like everything else about them.
Yeah, I don't like dealing with them.
So if we could make them less destructive to everything around them that matters, uh, I think I'd pick that conference honestly. But if that wasn't an option, I would, I guess, just make myself okay with a smaller conference in the Big Eight, and just kind of get more into more intensely hating fewer teams.
Yeah. Next question, also from Scott. If Colin would have been hired to the NFL last offseason, Kleiman still retired, who would have been on our hot bird? James Franklin. He's already been here. Virginia Tech, I think of them as kind of a peer school. Yes, I would have been banging the James Franklin drum, but assuming that's unrealistic, D'Anthony Lynn, who he was the DC at USC, I think 2 years ago. I don't know where he's at now. He's another good pick for me. I don't think Blake Baker will ever be a head coach. I think that he clearly just has like skeletons in his closet in one way or another. If you're looking for like a G5 fit, I would have seen if we could try and make a run at Galesh. We would have lost out to Auburn. But yeah, I mean, the easy answer is right there. It's James Franklin because he's coached here before.
If the timing had worked out better, I would have liked to see us make a run at Eric Morris, maybe. I'm not completely sold on him being like the guy, but I'm still kind of intrigued by him. I think he would have been a strong hire as well, especially because he did bring Mestamaker with him, and I know they have a running back that's really good too. His name I'm forgetting. Other than that, I liked a lot of the names that you shared. Other than that, I don't know. I didn't really get super into the coaching carousel because we didn't need to.
Yeah, like we knew who we were gonna get.
I guess that we could bring back Ron Prince's other first-year coordinator, Raheem Morris. So, like, while we're at it, we could have brought back Scott Frost as a GA. Like, I saw a crazy anecdote about Prince and Scott Frost on the message boards the other day that I'm not going to share here. But it was nuts, not out of character for Prince, but it explains a lot about why Scott Frost is the way he is with other contexts. So,
I guess I'll have to ask after this. Next question. If 5x5 passes at the NCAA, who are the current Wildcats you most hope becomes a 5-year contributor? For context, 5x5 means you have 5 years to play 5 years. You get 5 years of eligibility base. Avery. That's not a satisfying answer, but it's like basically the only answer because everyone else is either like doesn't fit the 5-year contributor mark or like just it's Avery. It has to be.
I think Avery's like a obvious strong answer. I don't think there's anything wrong with that pick. Gosh, outside of him, I'm trying to think about other guys who I'd really like to hold on to. Darian Whitaker, pending on-field production, I think it'd be a good one. Andre Kostic. I'd like to have a basketball player for a long time. Like, even if he's just okay, as long as doesn't become like a Mike McGurl situation where like he should be a role player, but he's actually your lead guard in the power conference. Then like I would like to see Andre Kostic stick around. And then other than that, trying about players that I really like. Gino Garcia.
Ooh, that's another good one, Gino Garcia. Yeah, those are our picks. Have you guys started thinking about how you'll answer the staple Bosco's Boys Blitz Month questions? No, I haven't. Thank you for reminding me because we're what, a month, 2 months out from that.
Yeah, I think too, because the season starts a little bit later this year because it's like Labor Day, I think, is like kind of late. So, like I think, well, and last year Blitz Month would have been way earlier. So we're in a super long waiting period this time. Yeah, Labor Day's not till the 7th. So the first game is September 6th. Or
Lord.
5th, I mean. But still.
If you could own any K State player's jersey, who would you pick? Doesn't have to be their jersey while at K State. So it could be like the Josh Freeman creamsicle or the Rolando Blackman Olympics jersey. I'm trying to think of. Like, are we assuming game worn? Because
Give
if we're
me
assuming
F.I. Reynolds autographed.
okay, if I was gonna say if we assume game worn, I'm taking the Felix Super Bowl jersey and signing it.
Sure.
But if we're just talking like general, I'd probably go with like a Darren Sproles Chargers jersey because I will die before I buy an Eagles jersey.
Fair play. I can't blame you. Yeah, I'm like somebody who like loves the idea of jerseys, but I've never really like been a major collector. I know Ace, you are a major collector of jerseys. Like that's like kind of one of your things.
Yeah.
But okay, outside of F.I. Reynolds, who Scott, I know that's your soapbox. He should be, or one of your soapboxes. He should be in the rafters, and I think you make a fair argument for it. That's mainly out of a desire to think that it would be kind of cool to have like really old uh, K-State like jerseys that otherwise probably don't exist. I'm assuming I could just magically like form them. But other than that, yeah, Rolando Blackman Olympics. That's a great poll. Mitch Richmond, wasn't he on the Dream Team? Am I correct in thinking that, or did he miss that Olympics? I can't remember. So I think he was on an Olympic team. It may not have been the Dream Team though.
I don't remember.
I was going to say it may have just been he was an NBA All Star, but I don't remember if he was actually an Olympian. But that would be a great one as well. Other than that, I'm trying to think about. Well, Casey doesn't really have a lot in the way of MLB success.
No, we don't.
Yeah, like I don't know. Give me like a Rock Cartwright jersey.
All right. Next up, what is a super niche thing that pisses you off that is K-State or college sports adjacent? Well, if Fishing in the Dark is our light show song, that will shoot up to like number one. But super niche thing. See, it's difficult because I can't think of like any one thing that is particularized to me that it would be considered niche that I would complain about. Other than like I hate the layout of the vet building. Whenever you're walking from the vet parking lot to the stadium, I just don't like how that's laid out because you either walk through the building, walk around the building, or walk through like a shipping dock. And I hate doing that so much. So I guess that's it.
Okay. That's a fair. I've never been in the vet building, so I can't corroborate, but I will believe you on this. I guess honestly, like a thing that's like K-State related that like most K-Staters know, but maybe don't actively think about, but it feels like it because we talk about it a lot. And the college sports world at large does not know about this because they don't care. Is Wildcat March? That is something that really upsets me. And I know that that's like a niche thing for the online K-State community. Like it's something that gets talked about a lot more than it probably should. But like it's still in the grand scheme of things very niche. a college sports wide thing, though. And it's something that like I've kind of passively thought about for a while, but this question made me think of it. And it's that I kind of don't love. In fact, I will say I hate most major college sports broadcasts. I think the level of effort that's put into presentation nowadays is genuinely sad for the most part. Like I like the stuff that TNT is doing is like kind of like the baseline of what they used to do. It feels like in through the like late 90s through like maybe like 2010s, but around like 2013, 14, 15 started caring less. And another very niche thing related to that is, and I understand this is completely impractical because this is entirely for field competition purposes. I hate how bright football fields are now. I think they used to have way more aura when they were lit pretty well, but not like Apple Store level. But like now LED lights have like blown up everything to the point where there's no shadows and photos don't look as good. And the broadcast is more like blown out. That's a very niche thing. I don't think it looks quite as good. And to say it pisses me off might be a little bit strong, but I see it and it just makes me a little bit sad.
I guess if you wanted, this isn't niche, but I'm very upset that Gus Johnson has lost his fastball as an announcer.
Ever since he missed the game-winning pick in the K-State OU 2020 game, it's been downhill from there because he just thought it was a wide incompletion, and Drew McPherson was running off that field. I think it was Drew McPherson.
It was J-Mac.
Yeah, with the football. So I don't know what I mean. And also, niche college sports that pisses me off is Joe Tessitore. I think he sucks. I do not like him. I think he comes off as very fake manufactured. I don't think he's a good sports broadcaster. Not saying I'd be better, but it pisses me off, and that was the question.
So, I'm saying he'd be better.
I appreciate that, Ace. I've never called a single game.
Next question. Got any single female friends? Tell them my DMs are open. Unfortunately, I do not, Mr. Wildcat.
I do. I will tell them. I don't know what's going to happen there. But.
Predict the first offensive play of the Colin Klein era. Inside zone RPO play from pistol.
Probably the touchdown play.
That's fair.
Either that or he's going to do that failed mid-air behind the back reverse thing that we tried to run against Miami with Colin Klein and Chris Harper, and like turn around and just flip the bird to Bill Snyder and like box up there. And Bill, they're going to cut to a shot of Bill and his binoculars. Just like.
What? Yeah. Predict the first double-digit score in the Casey Alexander area. Milives is probably my pick. I think Kostic might be the other one.
Oh, let's say Rex Steiner.
Rex Steiner? Okay. Who are your 5 most hated athletic departments? In order for me, KU, Texas Tech, Texas.
1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
1 to 5. So my most hated going down. KU, Texas Tech has skyrocketed up there. Texas, Florida State, and the other one I was going to say is for very petty reasons, so I'm not going to say that. It's the team that kept kicking my ass in NCAA 14. It's Marshall. But I guess for 5, I'll go USC. The bottom 3, I think, are just hopelessly corrupt. Well, okay. The bottom 2, I think, are hopelessly corrupt. Texas Tech and Texas just annoy me, and KU is KU.
I think you could throw Texas in that hopelessly corrupt group, but
yeah, it's a Venn diagram there in the middle of it where they're ungodly annoying and also corrupt.
Okay, I see. For me, 1 to 5, KU, like you, and then like you, there's been some recent shuffling. Texas Tech, I agree, is number 2. I have Iowa State at 3, followed by Texas, and then at 5, ooh, I had somebody, and it was on the tip of my tongue, and I cannot remember who it was now. Stall for me, Ace.
I'm just, of all the teams that kind of ran through my head, there weren't many that I shared like a genuine hatred for. There were a lot that annoy me. Like Georgia is up there. Basically, the majority of the SEC annoys me as like an athletic department and how they operate. But none of that goes past like more than annoyance. And also, I just don't like USC's latest attitude.
Baylor.
Baylor's a good one.
That's who I was thinking of. I lost it, but yeah, we got it.
Yeah. Favorite K-State football helmet of all time. I'm basic. I like the silver and purple. I think Flag Willie, like the white flag helmet, I think it was just I thought it was a little busy. The American flag helmet, I thought was busy. I guess the white helmet with the Power Cat was good, but I'm a sucker for classics. Uniforms, I'm good with alternates. Helmets, I'm very take it or leave it.
Wait, what's the American flag helmet?
Didn't we have a game where we had Flag Willie, but he was holding the American flag? Or am I thinking of just we put a decal on the back of our flag for the Farmageddon game last year?
It might have been that. I think there's always an American flag decal. There was a decal on the Farmageddon flag, or on the Farmageddon helmet, but that was just the center striping was Celtic knot. I think you might be thinking of the camo Power Cat that we had in 2013.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. The camo Power Cat.
It might have been against Iowa State for what it's worth. So I think that may be where the confusion was. So, yeah. But for me, I know you just called it busy, but you're wrong. I think the answer is Flag Willie with the numbers on the side. That is my favorite. And for what it's worth, there has been a lot of push against the Power Cat recently. I will say that I do like the Power Cat. I do think some people think it's iconic, and I don't think that's true. But I'd say it's like fairly recognizable. But silver, I have a soft spot for it. It seems that I think that look is maybe kind of starting to fade a little, at least like the love that we have for it. And if we want to like kind of move on to being more purple and white as opposed to purple and silver, as long as we like keep the silver around for like Big 8 opponents, like I'm okay with
that. Favorite Batcats unis of all time. The cream uniforms, closely followed by the St. Patrick's Day green and purple uniforms, or the Joker uniforms as some called them.
I share the number 1, the cream uniforms. It's literally, I think, the exact same as the gray uniforms that we had, like the cool gray, except they're cream instead. I think that's the only difference. I have the same template, but we only had them for like 1 year, I think, and I loved those uniforms. I loved them so much, and they still sold the jerseys for those for like 4 years afterwards. Like, even though we did, yeah, I always thought about getting one. I kind of wish I would have, but never did. Second place for me is the new Dave Baker throwbacks. I love those.
If you had a 25th hour a day nobody else got, but you had to do the same thing every day for the rest of your life, and you can't say sleep, what would you do in between? What 2 minutes would you place said hour? I would give myself an extra hour for mealtime, and I would put it between 5:59 and 6 o'clock, because especially now that I have a big boy adult job, my days kind of do devolve into go work, go back home, eat, have hour for TV, go sleep. So I would appreciate getting that hour for mealtime, and I just commit to eating meals at that time, so I just get an hour of free time afterwards. So I guess like by effect, I'm gaining an hour to do other things by committing mealtime.
That's a smart interpretation because I was sitting there like, what is the same thing that I would do every day? Like, what is one thing I could do without getting bored? Uh, and I don't
Shower.
really, I guess, I don't even love shower. I mean, like I do it every day, but I don't like look forward to it. I'm fine being done. Like I like feeling clean. I just don't like the process. It's like this is 10 to 15 minutes that I just don't get back.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you know,
you got to do it.
some people really like the process of it. Uh, I I'm a little indifferent, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I need to uh, come up with a better routine for it. But anywho, 25th hour a day where I have to do the same thing every day. I'm gonna say I'm gonna put it between uh, 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and I'm gonna take an hour to just like walk or like do like some form of like light exercise or something because I like doing it, but I always find that I am like struggling to allow myself to do that stuff when I have other things to do that are like quote unquote more productive. So I think if I had an hour set aside every single day for just some light activity of some sort, I think I would probably do it.
If you had to this is a fascinating question. If you had to choose a 25-degree window for weather 360 days a year, what temperature range would you choose? What weather would you choose for the other 5 days, and what are those 5 days? I am picking between 45 and 70 for my 25-degree window, and my 5 days are going to be from December 23rd to December 28th or 29th, depending on how you want to calculate the day. And we are getting a light dusting of snow that does not disrupt roads flow, but gives everyone a white Christmas every year. That's mine.
You chose the exact same temperature range that I was going to pick. I am not a enjoyer of the heat in the summer. Some of that may be because of the corn sweat that is occurring. I do not like right now that I am walking outside my apartment and I immediately can
Start
feel
sweating.
the moisture on my fucking hands,
Yeah,
and
that's so bad, dude.
I hate it. And then I walk inside and it goes away immediately, and it freaks me out a little bit. But and I don't love sweating all the time. I'm trying to get over that a little bit, but just as a practical matter, I do not like it. But 45 to 70, and then the 360 days a year. Um, I would say I'd want 2 days to be cold and snowy. Uh, Christmas can be one of them, and then a random day between Christmas and February 1st, I'll say, for the snow. Memorial Day, I will allow an 80-degree day for Memorial Day. And July 4th, I will do that as well. And then one, actually, no, I'm going to take it back. Memorial Day, I don't care about. July 4th can still have the 80-degree day. Then one randomly selected day between March 1st and May 1st will be 62 degrees and light rain. And the same thing in the fall between September 20th and October 25th.
Oh God, I just realized that I, I didn't specify if it would rain or not. I mean, it can randomly rain throughout those days. Temperature is what matters to me. I also don't want to cause an ecological crisis by banning all rain. So,
Yeah, that would be really rough for the food supply. Good thinking. So
last two from Scott. If you could domesticate any animal to the same level of an average dog or house cat, what animal are you choosing? I am deploying the trunk monkey. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up trunk monkey. Actually, maybe don't. It's a GIF where a bunch of kids are chasing a car and a guy presses a button, just says trunk monkey. And a chimpanzee appears from the back of the car and chases off the kids. I want my trunk monkey.
I'm gonna say walrus.
Yeah, that's a fair one.
I think that'd be funny, and they're my favorite animal. So
Last question: will you reach 1,000 episodes? God, what are we at now?
I was actually checked when I saw that, and I think we're in the 400s.
No, we're not making it to 1,000, buddy. I'm not going to be the one to break it to you. We're not making it to 1,000.
Yeah, we are at 406 prior to this episode, which is the second one we're recording tonight. So we'll be at 408 when we're done. So we also did pass 400 without realizing. So happy 400 episodes to the Aggieville Alleycats. This is also a 400 episode Q&A that we plan the whole time.
For sure. Next sets of questions are from Ethan. A lot of them are pretty rapid fire. Everyone asks which players were great for marketing, but what players were bad for PR/sucked in Madden. If you're asking broadly, Antonio Brown is the answer. But if you're asking specifically for K-State, I think Deuce Vaughn being like perennially disrespected in the Maddens that he was in is just that hurt a lot.
If the player has to be in Madden, I guess probably Skylar Thompson's not been great for our marketing. But if we're doing just K-State specific and like guys that were not good for K-State marketing, Jonathan Alexander, way up there. More recent, well, actually, this has been a little while, but there was a whole scandal, women's basketball, and not granting a player a waiver to transfer with Letty Romero. I don't know how many people remember that. That was in like 2013 or something like that. And then Bill Snyder dismissing Corey Sutton from the team and just flat out saying in his press conference that he failed a drug test. So that's not exactly Corey Sutton's fault, but he was definitely not good for our marketing because of that.
What's your favorite obscure advertisement from the 2000s? Moon Sand. Not just the products, because I don't think I ever owned it, but I remember those Moon Sand ads. The only other one is oh god, the stuffed cakes, where it was like two different pans and you could like put some gelatin or something in the middle of the cakes. I thought those ads were so funny for some reason.
For me, there was this Bionicle ad that I really liked when I was a kid. Other than that, Fushigi. Flex Seal is a huge one.
Whoa, Fushigi.
And then also just kind of at random, Pontiac had a pretty solid line of ads in like 2005 or 6 or something like that. With like some pretty good indie rock, and I've like actually added like several songs to my Spotify from those ads specifically, which is a little bit sad, but
yeah,
that's where we're at.
Yeah, if you could get dual citizenship to one country, which one would it be? Probably Canada, just for ease of travel. If I have to pick something outside North America, I would. Oh God, this tells people what kind of man I am. I pick Japan. Just so I could go there easily.
Yeah,
I saw the look. I saw the look.
I knew. I'd probably pick Ireland. I mean, I went there and I liked it, and I have Irish ancestry, so I would do that.
Favorite name of a town a player was from? Waxahachie, who I think we have multiple people from Waxahachie now.
Eli Huggins, Cumming, Georgia.
That is a good one. That is a good one. What's your favorite defensive tackle alignment 0 to 5 tech? That is a fascinating question. If we're going based on pure versatility, I'm going to go with like a 0 eye or a shade technique, or one technique. Depends on how you want to do it. It's, to me, that's the most versatile, because you can do that in a ton of different fronts, whether you're going to be like 3 down or be a 4 down team. So I guess like a shade technique would be my favorite, just by virtue of versatility.
Yeah, I think I might agree with you. I also kind of like 5. I really don't like 3, and I did a lot of 3, but I did not enjoy that very much because you just get assaulted by everybody,
Yeah.
which kind of also happens with 0. To be fair, but if you shade, it like shields a little at least. But yeah, I guess either shade or 5.
Yeah. If you could only communicate using one song from the 2010s, what would it be? Um, I'm going to assume that we literally have to use the lyrics of the song, and I'm going to put the rule that they have to be at least somewhat in sequence. Um, uh, Confuse everyone, Gangnam Style.
That would suck, man. It's a fascinating choice. Um, I really don't know how to respond to this question. I guess, yeah, if I use the same interpretation that you did, where like I have to use like words from the song, I, I'm trying to think of like the most like utilitarian song I could think of. Like, what is going to take me the furthest in communication? Honestly, the answer is probably like some like obscure like children's educational song that's like meant to help with like talking to people or like asking questions to strangers or something. Like I don't, but if I wanted to get more specific, it really sucks that it's like 2010 because like I think that might be like a decade I don't have as much stuff from. Uh, but because the obvious answer would be "Dirty Work" by Steely Dan. Otherwise,
True. I Die Young by Kesha, I guess. I don't know.
I guess
I,
I don't know. I don't
yeah.
know. I think it's just time to move on.
Yeah. What's something nice you want to say to your co-host? He's really decisive. He's, I
I'm
admire.
watching The Good Place right now, and there's a character whose whole problem is that he cannot decide anything.
So what you're
So
saying is he's indecisive.
he can't
He
decide.
can't decide.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Anyways, I interrupted you. You go ahead.
You're good. I admire the drive that Connor has and his ability to kind of just have a lot of things he's juggling at once and still kind of keep himself sane. Um, I also admire just how funny he is while still like not turning into an asshat at some points because that's something I have a problem with. I consider myself to be a somewhat funny person. However, once I'm on a roll, I can kind of turn into an ass. But yeah, my friend Connor is my friend.
I love that movie. Talking about Drive, by the way.
Yeah, right.
But and also, I'm glad it seems like I'm staying sane while juggling a million things. I think for the longest time, it probably seemed that way because I kept bouncing between things because I was very easily distractible. And the reason for that is because I have ADHD and didn't know until like 4 months ago. So, but something nice I'd like to say about Ace is that uh, you're a very grounding presence, I think, in my life. You like I think are similar to me in that you're good at giving advice and not necessarily always following your own advice. But when you put two of those people together, it results in having good advice followers and people that can give good advice. And I think you give very strong advice and keep grounded perspectives on reality, and are good at preventing spirals. I'll say that. And you've taught me a significant amount about football, more than I learned from any football coach, like in my entire life combined.
Maybe you forgot some of it because of the CTE.
Yeah, that did not help.
Yeah.
I remember like about four things from the year 2014 through like mid 2015. So
Which former K State athlete is most likely to be on the Savannah Bananas? Coleman Hawkins being a clout chaser.
I don't know what it is, and I don't mean this as disrespect because like he's an excellent baseball player. He's currently in the minor leagues and he's like an upcoming prospect. But Tyson Neighbors feels like someone that would have a presence on the Savannah Bananas, and I don't know why. Like because he's like actually good at baseball, so he wouldn't be on the Savannah Bananas. So like, but I don't know. It just feels like something that he would be like like he'd fit in. I guess I don't know. That makes sense.
Is Jordan? I'm assuming Jordan Wicks, potentially the most underrated K State legend of the past 15 years. Um, the original question is Jordan Hicks, and unless that's a golfer, I don't know a Jordan Hicks. Um, but if it is a golfer, I feel like we've answered your question by not knowing who they are. Um, if it's Jordan Wicks, the answer is no. I think Kalen Culpepper is more underrated, and like for his entire tenure than Jordan Wicks was.
Um, Wicks, I think, is a really strong argument. I I actually do think he's more underrated than Kalen, and the sole reason for that is because that Kalen Culpepper team, his junior year, his last year, K State made the Super Regionals, and Jordan Wicks they got snubbed his last year. Like, so I think the fan base at large has more memory of Kalen Culpepper because most of them don't pay attention to baseball unless they make the postseason or like are getting close. So I think for that reason, it would be Jordan Wicks. But otherwise, uh, I don't know. It'd be tough to say Carla Burnett because she got a ton of recognition for winning the amateur masters last year. But like, if she did that and we like and like nobody cared, it might be Carla Burnett. Uh, but gosh, maybe Aaliyah Carter. I think.
Aaliyah Carter might be underrated. I think people will forget Tamira Poindexter was here, but people will might remember her as like the last piece that we needed to go on that run that we did.
Yeah, that's true.
What conspiracy theory are you most against? Um, I don't know. I try not to be like against things because there are only so many hours in a day for me. I guess if there's one that I disagree with the most strongly is I don't get people who think that the moon landing was fake. I just don't get it. But I'm not like if someone walks up to me, he's like, "Huh, the moon landing is fake." It's like, "Yep, it sure was, buddy. I'm gonna go away now."
I think for me it's flat Earth, and I'm similar to you. Somebody like was like staunchly flat Earth and came up to me, obviously trying to start an argument. I would just disengage because when I say I'm most against it, I think it's the like dumbest like large one. Other than the moon landing, I think the moon landing one is like also very stupid. Which ironically, those two do kind of like actually tie in
Yeah.
together because going to
Yep.
the moon is like the most like other than like math and the existence of the Earth, like the most solid evidence that we have that the Earth is in fact not flat. But flat Earth is also a like it's like a gateway conspiracy to like open you up to like even dumber stuff. So like I guess I'm against that one as well.
How often do you think of the Alamo every day?
Not often, but more since the Spurs have made the finals.
If you could renovate any building on the Manhattan, Kansas campus, what would it be? Um, Justin Hall desperately needs an update. That that bastard is about to fall.
Oh, probably Kedzie. I didn't. I think I
Yeah,
had like one class in Kedzie, but like that place needs help. Maybe Eisenhower too. Like
yeah.
like Eisenhower is just like lined with asbestos. Like we were not allowed to like drag desks like across the room to like get in groups. We had to pick them up because if we drug them, it would loosen the asbestos in the ceiling in the basement where they also had classrooms.
Are Taco Tuesdays as a concept dead? No, I still mostly observe it whenever I cook on Tuesdays.
Uh, I think that's a good way to put it because I think it separates between the concept of Taco Tuesdays at restaurants versus personal. Personally, uh, no, I don't think it's that. I think you can do a Taco Tuesday if you want a home broadly. Many restaurant specials and deals are going extinct. I was just talking about this the other day about how happy hours are unhappy because they are never at convenient times.
Yeah, the unhappy hour. What isn't a bank holiday but should be? President's Day. Wait, isn't President's Day a bank holiday?
It might be. I can't remember.
Oh God, hang on.
Probably my birthday. We can
Fair
observe
enough.
it on nearest Friday or Monday, whichever's closer.
Yeah, President's Day is a bank holiday. Um, Indigenous Peoples Day.
Maybe the day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll go day after Super Bowl. The other one I was thinking of would be opening day for baseball, but day
Oh,
after
if
the
we want to
Super
get
Bowl.
practical, election day should be.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, I do actually feel kind of strongly about that. Not to the point to like get angry about it, but like I feel like it makes sense. Like if we want people to participate in the democratic process. That's
What is
just
a piece? Oh, sorry, you're good.
you go ahead.
What is a piece of advice that is stuck with you? Um, Sort of just. I mean, my grandfather from a very young age taught me, and this is a lesson I will pass to my children. You can't be bullied if you're better at bullying than other people, but also don't be the first one to bully. So Connor can tell you that I've had some wild insults in my time. Um, I never started, but I, uh, I am more than capable of talking up, and that's because the advice I got from a very young age of no one's going to bully you if you're better at it than them.
I have two. The first is one that you say a lot, actually, because I shared it with you, and it is Captain Picard from Star Trek: Next Generation. It is possible to commit no errors and still lose. Like, that is life. So, like, that is one that's a Star Trek: Next Generation full of great life lessons. And then like personal, I was paralyzed on a project my last semester of undergrad, and I just like could not get it started. I knew what I wanted to do. And my professor, I went and met with him, and he was like, "Don't get it perfect, get it done." I was like, "That, yes, that is some very practical senior year of college advice."
Do not let perfection be the enemy of progress.
Yes,
Do you know Kimball? No, I don't.
I
That
do
is
know EQ Kimball, the insurance man.
okay. Who's your favorite Muppet Beaker?
I don't know a single Muppet dog.
You know Kermit. You know
Yes,
Kermit.
I do know Kermit. Yeah, Kermit. I guess that's my favorite. I was not a Muppets kid, I guess, other than I saw a couple of Kermit movies, I think.
Who let the dogs out? Um, Chris Kleiman. Several times.
This one person that sent, actually, no, I can't say that. It's confidentiality. I can say without identifying, somebody sent stuff in to the firm. They sent pictures of documents, and their dogs were just out in the pictures. And that was crazy.
It's like that one dude in the theater when we went and watched, was it the Batman? Had the dogs out in the theater.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
I did not like that very much. If you could thank a childhood hero that you looked up to but never met, who would it be? Who was my childhood hero?
Colin Klein for
Colin
coming
Klein.
back and commandeering my beloved cats.
Okay, that's it. That's a good one. but never met. I never really looked up to celebrities when I was a kid. The closest thing I guess would be athletes, and the first one that came to mind I guess would be like David DeJesus. He was a center fielder for the Royals when I was really young. Uh, well, Roy Halladay's dead. I would have said him, but yeah, I guess I'll go David DeJesus. Do you know how much I miss and appreciate you both? We miss you too, Ethan.
We know now, and I miss you.
Could they make Borat in 2026? Probably.
Didn't they like just make a sequel? Like
I think it was 24, like 23 or 24.
I think they could probably make a sequel to Borat, probably.
Yeah, they probably could. Will the live event ticket market ever recover? No.
Not in the United States, at least.
No. You will get events that are like once in a lifetime events that will allay the concern, like the World Cup. Shout out Freddie touring the United States. But yeah, I don't think that on the aggregate there will be a lot more of like quote unquote events that everyone is going to.
Yeah, I agree.
What building did you enjoy studying in the most in undergrad? I didn't enjoy studying at all. I was always someone who was more of a home studier. But if I had to pick a building on campus that I enjoyed being in the most, I really liked the top floor of Calvin Hall because that's where I did a lot of reading when I didn't have time to go back.
For me, I think it'd be the Union, actually. My freshman year was that September after the Hale fire. So Hale was closed, I think, my entire freshman year. And then the first floor, like basement area, was open the beginning of my sophomore year. But Hale was not completely reopened, I think, until my senior year. So I did not get used to studying in the library. So I studied in the Union instead. And I've like gotten good at finding spots in the Union. I actually ended up really liking it.
And the final question of the day, who is the most, oh yeah, they were on that team, player of all time in K-State history? Omar Daniels is up there for me. We mentioned Jonathan Alexander already. Those are like the big ones for me.
I've got a random one. Aubrey Quarles on the 2010 K-State football team. Yeah, I think that's right. And Blake Slaughter for the 2012 team because he redshirted that year as a true senior because Arthur Brown was way better than him. So
but yeah, that is the Q&A episode. An hour. I think combined we've recorded for 3 hours today, so I'm a little tired.
I am too.
I think I'm good to call it. So
I'm done. So
thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I am at ACEdward00.
I'm Matt Carnabasco, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out the official Aggieville Alleycats merch store. Link found in our podcast and Twitter bio. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Or come rain, shine, or anything in between. We're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.